Welcome. Thanks for tuning in to Herman
And Adam.
your construction tech guys, brought to you by SiteTech Northeast. This is our Trimble ConExpo update series. In this episode, we're covering special applications technologies.
Okay, SPS software Site Vision is not necessarily new for ConExpo. It is something relatively new in the Trimble release. It was late last fall, and it is an augmented reality software, like what Herman was talking about earlier with the excavators. It is something that we're putting information and we're using your cell phone. There are a list of cell phones that are able to be used with Sight Vision, but we're using the AR core in Android, and we're putting the actual background pictures with what is the design overlaid on there. And again, we can change that transparency up and down. It is a great tool for visually planning or looking at information for potential conflict zones, or if you have visual customers, if you're using some need to sell something, it is a great visual aid to go out and be able to see in the actual background of what is there and putting the project in scope. What is new in Sight Vision 1.2 is the ability now to put in-field designs in here. So if we look on the top right here, we've got a trench that is built. Okay, so we're actually doing that in the field, saying here would be a trench for utilities, perhaps, things like that. Doing that in the field, or doing a flat or sloping plane. So these are enhancements to Sight Vision, and also we can measure control points tool. And on the bottom left, if we look, that tree is an actual symbol for a point that we measured. So we could change from the bottom right, when we see this point here, we can change that symbol to look like a tree to show what that would be in reality as well. Really a big deal. This augmented reality stuff is going to become more and more embedded into our stuff, and a great tool. It's a low cost ability to get in and plan jobs, use it for sales tools, things like that. Pretty cool.
So any of you guys that have ever been in a design build meeting where you're trying to pitch your design and you got that little cardboard 3D model on the table, or you've been in a town planning board trying to get approval for something and they're not picking up, people aren't necessarily visual to look at a set of plans and know what the entrance to your shopping center is going to look like. Here you can take those plans and superimpose them over the real world and take those people out there and go, as you turn around, look, there's where the fountain's going to be, there's where the entrance is, and seeing it superimposed over top of what's actually there now is huge for people who don't have the visualization abilities of looking at a piece of paper and imagining what it's going to look like. So that's one place where I think this can really change how you do business.
The other enhancement here, I think Sight Vision, Herman, adds is the ability to see vertical things such as bridge abutments, things like that. It does a really, really good job scaling that and putting it in there to where you can see, the vertical differences in some of these things. So really good point.
It's to the point of you can put let's say a house or a building and virtually stand inside it and look out the window where the window is going to be. So they could see a homeowner could see the view out of their dining room window before the house is built. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that is the software, the positioning software end of it for new releases for ConExpo. We're going to get back into the civil specialty, which is where Herman's going to jump back in.
Okay, so civil specialty is basically uses of GPS that are not necessarily traditional, things you guys aren't used to doing maybe. First one of those is paving. Roadworks was released. You may have noticed a theme here with works in Trimble, SiteWorks, Roadworks. That's what the new platform is going to be called. Right now, Roadworks is the 2D paving. It's a replacement for PCS 400. It does still work with the 3D paving. This is the platform going forward. This is where everything is going to end up. It uses the standard TD 510 touchscreen. That touchscreen is embedded into a case with actual buttons around the outside, as you see here, because we know the paving crews keep their hands very clean, and touchscreens love asphalt, right? So PCS 300, or PCS 900 version 3, I should say, will be released, was released in January. The big thing here is the thermal imaging camera. That is not in the Northeast in any DOT specs that I am aware of. It is in some specs in the Midwest, so those of you in the paving, I'm sure, have heard of it, and it's going to be coming this way. This camera mounts up here on a pole and shows a real-time image of the mat coming out of the back of the paver with thermal imaging, so the rollers can see where the hot spots and the cold spots are and work that into their passes so that they make sure we get the proper amount of passes and compaction on it. So that said, some other little things in there. 3D paving, a simplified measure up. For those who have done it, there used to be pretty complicated to get a machine measured up the first time. They've made that simpler. And down here, machine-to-machine communications. This does require some hardware here, this little OSNM 941 over here. But this will allow rollers to use the same map. So if you have multiple breakdown rollers on your job, but you have a hard 5-pass only count, you don't want to go over that to overcompact, the rollers can see where the other one has been and make sure that they don't overcompact the surface. It's pretty neat thing. It's been around in the landfill side for a while. It's now moving into the paving side. Offset paver, we don't do a lot of these curb machines. There is GPS support for this now. For remote sites, you don't need to use UTS. For horizontal, as you'll see here, it does warn you that the vertical accuracy of GPS is not the same as UTS, so it's not recommended to be used for vertical. But if you have a big job in the middle of nowhere and you need to get that gutter curb put out there to get the rest of the job moving, they can go do that with GPS now. Groundworks, again, another Works product. This is Trimble's drilling and piling solution. The big thing coming in this is 2D support. 3D Groundworks is out now. 2D will allow us to do depth and tilt without having a base station and receivers on the machine. So quarries, anywhere you're drilling a pattern, and the patterns are set 10 by 10 grid, but you need to make sure you drill to a certain depth to get a nice flat floor in your quarry, and you're not tilting your mast. This will give guidance to the operator for that. So it's fully upgradable to 3D when you get the job where you need 3D. So it's a great starting point for those with some drilling projects. Thank you for tuning in to Herman
and Adam,
your construction tech guys from Site Tech Northeast.
Please take a minute to provide us feedback and comments on topics you would like to have us cover by emailing us at hermanandadam@sitetechnortheast.com, all lowercase and all spelled out. Remember to watch the other 3 videos in this series.
Sci Tech Northeast.